Hey y'all, and welcome back to her Revision Podcast, the podcast for women who are rewriting the stories that they tell themselves and that the world tells them. And today, if you can tell, my angle's a little off. I'm trying a new, more intimate angle. Y'all let me know if you're watching me on YouTube. Let me know if y'all like this, like close up. I don't know. Anyways, today we're getting into one of those topics that hit a little close to home for me. And we are talking about the power of saying no. Not the polite, oh, maybe next time. No. We're talking about the firm, stand your ground, don't feel bad about it kind of no. And look, I'm still learning this myself, so this episode is as much for me as it is for you. We are going to talk about reclaiming our peace by setting boundaries that actually stick, not the flaky, flimsy boundaries. No. So if you're feeling drained, if you're feeling overcommitted, or if you feel like you've got too many folks that are relying on you and you're barely getting by, this episode is for you. Let's get into it. All right, so as we jump right into it, the truth is that I think a lot of us struggle with saying no because we don't want people to think that we don't care. At least for me, and especially with friends and family or even in dating, it's hard to set that line. We are so conditioned to be nice, to be helpful, to never leave anybody hanging or, not being an aid in some sort of way. But what ends up happening is that we are the ones left hanging. We end up with no energy, with no time. And sometimes, let's be real, no money either. How many times have you been the helping hand or tried to say no, didn't say no, and ended up less fortunate than you started? I can't tell you how many times I've overextended myself helping people out, covering for somebody at work when I was barely being able to handle my own, or even just lending my ear when I barely have anything left to give. I'm telling, cup is empty. It's not half anything. It's just empty. And I'm left thinking, why do I feel so worn out? And it's because I'm saying yes when I don't want to. And that's on me, right? But we're learning and we're growing. And we're going to talk about that. So let's debunk something really quick. People love to make you feel like setting boundaries is selfish. Oh, you can't just give me a little bit of your time. I'm not asking for much. You can't just help a little bit. But honestly, the truth is you are not. And something that I had to really bang into my head, you are not a never-ending well of energy or resources. And saying no is not about being selfish. It's about recognizing that you are a whole ass person who needs your own space, your own time, and your own peace. And I am all about peace nowadays, okay? So I'll take me for example. I've had situations with family, and y'all know how family can be, where someone needs something, and I personally feel torn. I feel like my mind is telling me you gotta help because it's family. But my reality is saying, girl, you can't pay your own bills right now. How are you going to help somebody else? And I love my family, but I can't pour from an empty cup. Boundaries have been my way of saying, I love you, but I also love me. And listen, if somebody does not respect that, that's a them problem. It's not a you problem. And y'all don't understand how I've had to make that a mantra. It's not a me problem. If someone cannot respect my boundaries, it's a them problem. If you need to say it to yourself over and over every day until it sticks, do so. So let's talk about some real practical steps on how to say no in a way that feels authentic. No guilt trips. No long explanations, just a simple, clear no. Because half the time we start spiraling when we think about all the what ifs. What if they don't want to be around me no more? What if they are angry with me? What if they'll never look out for me when I really need it? And this is what works for me, okay? 1, you have to start with love, but you have to be clear. So if somebody asks you for something you can't or don't want to do, because sometimes you don't have to do it. Try this. I appreciate you asking about me, but I won't be able to help you out with that right now. Boom. That's it. You didn't over explain. You didn't apologize for existing. You literally just said what you meant with love. Like, I appreciate that, but I'm sorry, I can't. Don't justify it. Just decline. The minute you start explaining, you're opening the door for negotiation. You don't owe anybody an essay on why you're choosing to just do you. Just say, unfortunately, I'm not able to do that. It's firm and it's a full sentence. Okay? I think that I learned that specifically from my friend Asia. When it comes to boundaries, that girl there, and everybody falters. Everybody has moments when, depending on the person or the situation, their boundaries might be some sort of a sore spot. But my friend, when I tell y'all, when it comes to boundaries, she's somebody that I admire so much because she really, truly looks to see how full her cup is before she can ever, like, when it comes to something she believes in or a boundary that she set. When I tell y'all, ain't no, well, maybe I'll just do it this once. No, like, this is what my boundary is. This is what I told you, and I love you, but I can't. That's her. And I'm learning. Every time I'm around her, I'm like, yeah, I love that. I love that so much. And then one of the other things is that you have to hold steady when people give you pushback, because they gonna push back. Okay? Especially the people who are used to you always saying yes. And what I've learned is that just because they're disappointed, just because they're upset, does not mean that you're wrong. Let that sink in, okay? Sometimes a follow-up no sounds like, I hear you, but that doesn't change my decision. Like, I understand that you're upset, but I'm sorry, I can't help. And then let that silence sit. You don't need to over-explain. Just stay firm in that no, I'm sorry, I can't. I can't. Now, all of this sounds really promising, right? All of this sounds like, oh, you out here, you're not cutting anybody any slack if you cannot do it, right? But let's talk about the guilt that creeps in, because guilt is going to creep in, especially when you're setting boundaries with people that you love. Like, I've had moments where I'm like, dang, am I wrong for this? But then I have to remind myself that these boundaries that I'm setting are not about hurting anybody. I'm not trying to hurt anybody, but they are more so about me protecting myself. When you do start to feel that guilt, because you more than likely will feel it, ask yourself, why did I set this boundary in the first place? Why did I bother to set this boundary? Usually it's because something was draining you, stretching you too thin. It was taking away your peace. And we're going to protect our peace all 2024 and beyond, okay? You're protecting your peace. And that is, to me, personally worth a lot more than a momentary guilt trip. Because if I've realized anything, the moments where I've had to full stop say no to someone, usually more times than not, it blows over. After they get over their little spat, their little temper tantrum because you couldn't do for them what they felt like you should, it's done and it's over with. And now they've got it in their mind that this is a boundary. So the next time they fall into the same situation, or the next time they need something from you that they know is a boundary for you, they'll think twice before asking. That's the one thing that I love about boundaries, is that when you've set in place a boundary and you're really, really headstrong on it, and people know that that's something that they can't even play with you about, they'll think twice before asking again. I love that. I do want to shift to dating really quick, because we got to talk about this in relationships too. And sometimes that can pull at your heartstrings a little bit more, you know? Well, no, family will do that to you real quick. But dating, when it comes to your person or the person you want to be your person, it can be a little tricky. There's this pressure that I've realized that I don't know if I put it on myself or if it comes from the other person, but in terms of boundaries or saying no, that there is this pressure to always be available, to always be accommodating, especially when we're trying to impress someone. But what I'm realizing, and I'm praying, and I know that God is going to give me this, the right person is going to respect my no. And they're not going to make me feel bad about it. And if they're breadcrumbing me, or they're showing that they're inconsistent and they're not capable of, being what I need them to be, that's where my boundary kicks in. I'm not going to allow you to do that to me. So no, I'm not going to tolerate you talking to me whenever you feel like it. I'm not going to tolerate you not being able to consistently communicate. I'm not. And then the same thing goes with friends. Like, if you got that one friend who only hits you up when they need something, it's okay to say, not today, girl. Like, I've got my own things going on. And if they can't respect that, then they're not respecting you. And I need friends who respect me, and vice versa. And this is what we mean when we talk about knowing your worth. Part of knowing your worth, and I'm realizing this and I'm practicing this because it is a hard skill, but part of knowing your worth is knowing when to say no. So the takeaway, right? Saying no is a practice. You're not going to get it the first couple of times. It's going to be hard. It's something that you're going to constantly have to do over and over again before you're able to perfect it. You're not going to be perfect at it right away. And that is okay. But every time that you set a boundary, you're reminding yourself and the people around you that you value your own time, you value your own energy and your own peace. And trust me, the people who respect you will respect those boundaries too. I don't have anybody. Okay, I was about to lie. But there are people in my life who have to get acclimated to my boundaries. But most of the people in my life, they will get it. And they'll be okay. So honestly, to all of the people that's listening who are struggling to say no, my reminder to you is, you deserve to protect your peace. You deserve to be at peace. And sometimes that does mean saying no. And I'm right there with you. Learning this in real time has been kicking my ass. So let's keep each other accountable. Let's stay firm. Let's stay clear. And always remember, you don't owe anybody an explanation for choosing yourself. You don't. Okay? So the next time you think twice about why you can't say no to this person, ask yourself, am I crossing my own boundary because I won't say no? Am I hurting myself because I can't say no to them? Is my yes to them going to affect me? Let's be real. Even if you're tired and you just don't want to because you don't want to, that's okay. That's an answer too. That no is just as important as the no because you physically can't. Even if you don't want to do it and you say no, that no holds weight too, friend. So if this episode resonated with you in any sort of way, go ahead and share it with someone who might need it. And if you're feeling extra generous, drop me a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And as always, or, like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching me on YouTube right now. And drop me a review. And as always, remember that you have the power to revise your story. Until next time, take care of yourselves and say no like you mean it, friend. Bye.